What's up, guys? Welcome back to my channel. My name is Joannis or Joe Hatagwa. I'm a Sierra Leonean American living in Accra, Ghana. And if you want to know how to buy a house in Ghana, then this is the video for you. All right. So we are live on all platforms, YouTube, Instagram, LinkedIn, and Facebook. So this is my second time going live on Instagram. Second time going live on LinkedIn. So for those of you on LinkedIn, feel free to submit your questions for this live. We do have some special guests today. We do have Sam and Yaba from GhanaBound, and we'll get to them in a second because I'm really looking forward to talking to them. We did a live with them a while back, and some things have changed, some things to update you guys on, and they're going to talk to us a little bit about what those are and basically what the process might be like to buy a house in Ghana. So if you're watching on Instagram and if you're watching on YouTube or LinkedIn, give me a thumbs up so I know that you can hear me. I am pinning a comment on Instagram Live so that you can see our guests. You won't be able to see the guests on Instagram Live. So if you do want to see the guests, you want to jump over to the link that I just pinned there, and you'll be able to see them on the live. But first, can you guys give me a thumbs up so I know you can hear me? Okay, cool. So Catherine Smith says she can hear me. Great. Shira Michelle caught the live. Great. Manelik is there. What's up? Can you guys hear me on Instagram? Let me know that you guys can hear me on Instagram. I want to just make sure that you can hear me. I see a couple people join, but just let me know. Give me a thumbs up so I know that you can hear me. All right, cool. So we'll get started. Cash said that they can hear me, and Manelik, of course, can hear. Okay, great. Cicely, welcome to the live. Let me know that you can hear me with a thumbs up, and also if you want to see our guests today, you want to jump on the link that's pinned there. That's directly to the live today. All right, cool. So before we get started, some quick housekeeping. Those of you who've been on the lives for a while, you might recognize this background. I am back in New York. I am obviously not in Ghana. As you can see, I have all the layers on. I would not have this many layers on if I was in Ghana. So I'm freezing cold in New York right now. In Fahrenheit. So the topic is Cool 2.0 is asking how's Ghana. Unfortunately, I don't know right now because I'm not in Ghana. I'm in New York. I'm freezing cold in New York. It is in the 50s, and 50s is cold to me. I've been climatized to the weather of West Africa, and I'm just not used to being this cold. So just came from Atlanta. I was in Atlanta last week, had a great time there, and now I'm and the week before that I was in Germany, and now I'm back in New York. I'll be here for another week or so, and then I'm off 2 weeks, and then I'm off to LA. And so while I'm here, I do want to try to do a meet and greet. So we've talked about that before. I will keep you guys posted on that when the time comes. I'm still working out the details of where it's going to be and when it's going to be. And now that it's a little bit colder outside, it's going to be tough to do it outside. So we'll have to find an indoor place to do it. Okay, Spearwarrior is back. It's been a while, Gerald. What's up? Welcome back. YOA says hello. Shout out to you. Greetings from Cicely. And Anne-Marie Harding says hello from the UK. And Raven says hello from Maryland. Okay, cool. I will be in DC too. So if I can do a meet and greet in DC, I will. There's a lot of West Africans in DC, especially my Sierra Leonean cousins. So if we can, we'll try to see if we could do a meet and greet in DC. All right, cool. So there's a lot of new people on the live that I'm seeing. So just really quickly, I want to give you a quick introduction to who I am. Again, my name is Joannis or Joe. Some people call me Joe. My last name is Hatagwa. I am Sierra Leonean American. I'm a dual citizen between Sierra Leone and the United States. I live in Ghana full time. So I'm a resident of Ghana, and I'm a Sierra Leonean and U.S. citizen. I live full-time in Ghana, but if this year is any indication of how things are moving forward, it doesn't seem like I live in Ghana. I spent about 5 months total in Ghana. I spent more time in Sierra Leone and in the US and in other countries than I did in Ghana this year. And by the end of this year, that will have been the case. I've spent almost as much time in Sierra Leone as I did in Ghana, almost 4 months in Sierra Leone. I'm about to spend about another month and a half in Sierra Leone after I leave the States. But I'm in New York once a quarter for my new job. It requires me to be here to meet with clients, and I'm here for at least a month. When I'm here, I then travel around the States during these trips. But my channel is all about what has been like to move to Ghana, what the process has been like building a house in Sierra Leone, my previous full-time job in Ghana working at Jumia. I was the head of advertising at Jumia Ghana for about a year, and then everything pertaining to life as a single Black man living in Ghana. So dating and things like that also come up, and just what it's like to make that move from being on the West Coast of the United States and the East Coast of the United States to the West part of Africa. All right, cool. So just a couple of big, a couple of shout outs I want to give really quickly. So Spearwarrior says, been in the truck. Oh, you've been driving the truck, so that's why you haven't been on the lives. Got it. Boogz Negus TTV says, hit the like button. Yes, please like, comment, subscribe. Make sure you do that. Carl, what's up, Carl? Carl and I used to work together at Jumia. That's very clear by the shirt in the picture. Carl works at Jumia. I appreciate it. Thank you. Abubakar Kamara says, hello, what's up? Freddie B, what's up, man? Joe, I definitely got to get with you. I'm going to Accra for my birthday in November. I need need some info on going. Yeah, for sure. I'm in New York. I know you live in New York, if I'm not mistaken, Freddie. It's been a while since I've seen you. But if you're here in New York, let's definitely catch up for sure. And Cicely says, miss you. I'm in Ghana now. Unfortunately, yes, I keep missing people who are going to Ghana. Okay, cool. So I just wanted to give that brief intro and then say hello to everyone. Also, I do post 3 videos a week. I have a video coming this Wednesday about my time in France. It was an amazing time. This video is talking about Group Black, that they're focused on diversity, equity, and inclusion when it comes to advertisers and content creators, and they hold them to account. And we're going to talk a little bit about them and some of the events that they did while I was in Cannes. And so that'll be out on Wednesday. And then this weekend, I'll also do my weekly vlog update. So you'll get a chance to see that as well. Salone TiTi says, hi, Joe. You are all over the place. I am. I travel a lot these days. It keeps me busy. Okay. A couple other people said a couple things really quickly before we get into the live. The topic is Cool 2.0 says, I saw your videos with my Ashanti family on What in Maya channel. Okay, nice. Your channel is dope. Thank you. Appreciate it. Yeah, Amina is here. What's up, Amina? Samara joined. What's up, Samara? All my Sierra Leonean peeps are on. Cool. All right. All right, without further ado, because I've been keeping them on hold forever. So I want to introduce you guys to Sam and Yaba of GhanaBound, our special guest for today. What's up, guys? How are you?
Hi, everybody.
Hi, how you doing?
Hi, Joe. Thank you for having us on your channel.
It's been a while.
It's been a long while. And thanks for coming back. And by the way, I will say all the content that we shot last year, I know it's been a long time, is finally going to be edited over the next few weeks. My editor is like in the middle of editing everything. So it'll finally be coming out. I've had separate interactions with both Sam and Yaba where we've filmed some content together. And it just, with the time constraints I've had, I haven't been able to get them out, but those interviews are coming soon. So I thought, because it's taken forever to do that, and there's been some changes with from our last discussion, what you guys were doing with GhanaBound, and it's really cool. I've been visiting your site and seeing the properties that you had. I thought it'd be great to have you guys come on and talk about what you're doing with GhanaBound, and help people who've been asking questions. There's been a lot of questions about real estate in Ghana. People have asked me about buying, about renting, where to rent, where to buy, all that kind of stuff. And I thought having you guys on would be great, because I know you had the consulting business and now you have the real estate business. So you guys are the perfect two to discuss some of these topics with. So, so yeah, I wanted to bring you guys on. In the description, I'm going to put a link to the previous live that we did, so we don't have to go through your whole background. But if you want, can you guys do a quick, can we do a quick intro to who you are? What is GhanaBound? And then if anybody wants like the full background, they can click on the link in the description.
Right.
But until then, do you guys want to just give a brief description of who you are and GhanaBound in your channel?
Sure. So I'm Yaba.
I'm Sam.
And we're husband and wife. And we moved to Ghana about 18 months ago with our 2 young children. So our channel GhanaBound started because we were documenting our own personal journey, just for our kids to be able to look back on. What happened is that loads of people seemed to join that journey and were beginning to ask us about the process of moving to Ghana. We shared our challenges, our highs, our lows.
Yeah.
And then we began to get a lot of inquiries about properties, about rentals, where to buy, lands to buy. And we were like, so we researched, we linked up with the experts in the field who are in Ghana, and we learned a lot. So we actually started giving consultancy on real estate, and it's turned into us now being property consultants. So we have a whole list of properties on our website. It's been a whirlwind. We've only been in Ghana for 18 months, but as we've been coming and going all of our lives, we had a base of information, but now it seems that we've become fully fleshed out in property. Yeah. So we started our website, GhanaBound.com, which started as property consultancy, as in relocation, schools, you know, how to get around Ghana, from mobile money to the relocation process to shipping. And on our website now, it's a lot to do with what properties to buy and
and how to go about it.
And how to go about it.
Yep.
That's us.
Nice. So yeah, I when I was in the middle of having my editors edit your videos, I went to the site and I was like, wow, it's very different from what I remember October of last year. And I saw all the properties, and I see some of your updates, Yaba, on WhatsApp's what are they, statuses? And so I thought I was like, we definitely have to talk again and talk a little bit about what you guys are doing, because I think it's been great. I mean, 18 months and already you guys have built what is really, really interesting business. So let's talk about that a little bit. So you mentioned GhanaBound has kind of gone from a consultancy to property management or property what did you call it? I'm sorry, how did you describe it?
Property consultancy.
Okay, property consultancy. And so how long have you been doing the property consultancy piece of the business?
I'd call it, we started land last year, and then property in terms of buildings, houses and things, we started about 6 months ago, about March. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. About 6 months.
Let's call it 6 months.
Okay. And what kind of drove you into real estate? Was it really just a demand, people asking you questions about it? Or did you have a passion for it previously? Like what came, how did it come to be?
So my UK people, you know about Homes Under the Hammer, right? That's a show that we have in the UK. It's all about flipping properties. So it was an interest we had, but not at any point did we really think we were going to be doing it. And then the demand. Yeah.
So we had an idea that when we got to Ghana, we were definitely buying lands. We would definitely be doing it for ourselves. Sure. But led by our subscribers, the consultancies were becoming more and more about properties. The questions were really heavily weighted towards properties, towards it's such a different space to what most people are used to. And especially if you're planning to return, there is so many mistakes you can make. I mean, buying property in Kumasi is very different from buying property in Accra. So you do need some guidance and as to what's appropriate and what to look out for. So we just went in for it.
You just mentioned something and I just added a new question. Cool. So where do you have properties now? So your property consulting, is it all over Accra? Is it all over Ghana? I mean, I've seen some spaces that are kind of the greater Accra region.
Yes.
But are you outside of Accra at all, or is it all Accra?
Yeah, we get all the way up to Kumasi.
Okay.
we can help you find, if there's a particular area in Ghana, we have links and network that we have fully plugged into, that we can find out properly research lands for you. And then obviously you will do your searches if you really want to go for something. Yeah.
Nice. And I guess we should mention you guys are both of Ghanaian descent, right?
Yes, that's correct. Yeah.
Right. So anyway, like I said, if you guys want more details on their backgrounds, you definitely can watch the last live that we did. We went into detail. It was over an hour long. So if you guys want to see that, check the link in the description after this is over. I'm going to add it there. Okay, cool. So I mean, those were some of like the intro questions. I want to ask you a little bit more specific real estate questions, because this comes up a lot. People ask me a lot of questions, and I don't know the answers. So I just felt like having you guys on, you guys could help answer some of these questions. And so,
Sure.
So here's some of the frequently asked questions that I get. The question I get the most is, how much do houses cost in Ghana? I know that is such a broad question, but that question comes up so often. That's the question that people always ask me. So do you have an answer that you usually give when people ask you that question?
It's just like the market where you're coming from. If the area is desirable, the price is going to be higher. If it's less so, same thing. You can pick up something in Accra for under £34,000. Would you be comfortable in it? Would you be comfortable in that? That's down to your style of living and what you need and your level of comfort and your access to amenities.
So for those in the US, anything under $40,000, you can find under $40,000 properties.
Yes.
All the way up to, there's no limit, but you can get a property for 2.2 million. So if you have a budget, we can work around it depending on where in Ghana you want to live. But like generally we say, if you have a budget, we can work around it.
Yeah. You can get I mean, from the Americans that we've been working with and interacting with, let's say a 4-bedroom property that you'd be comfortable in, because the American market is very different to the UK market. It could start from around $70,000.
Nice. Yeah, I did see a spot. I saw a place on there, and so and I guess so I saw a place on your site with it was under 100K, and it was it was already pre-built. I mean, these were like, I think these were apartment units. But I do want to ask that. So if someone buys land, let's say, do you have an estimated cost of what it would be like to build on that land if they bought the land? Let's say they bought the land for whatever price it is, depending on where it is in Accra or outside of Accra. The building, what should people anticipate in terms of the range of costs to build, let's say, a 1-story, 3-bedroom, 3-bathroom house, let's say?
Okay, so it's the cost of materials is rising. So let's just call this a rule of thumb. Okay, for a 3-bedroom house, you could get the structure up without a roof at about $30,000, $28,000, let's say. The roofing would then be another, again, depending on the size. So these are really general figures, around $8,000 for the roof. And then where your money goes, either bananas or is in the finishing. And that's to taste.
Ah, got it.
If you're looking to build your house, you're looking at about 50, 60,000. Now that is a bungalow style, so one level, and I think that's about fair to say today.
Yeah, I think that's at this. And when we say bungalow, it could be a modern, very modern looking single story building. It's not the old-fashioned bungalows. I don't know how many of your subscribers and followers know what the typical bungalow looks like in Ghana, but you can get some very much modern-looking. You dream it, they can build it.
Yeah, so we've actually spent time like researching those developers who are doing the more modern taste, bigger windows, lots of light,
higher ceilings,
and really beautiful finishes. So we know that, you know, a lot of us coming out from the diaspora, we're looking for that. So we've searched for contractors who are doing it to that level. And so, you have that available as well.
There is some really forward-thinking developers out here now. and they're really trying to react to what the diaspora wants.
Love it, love it. Yeah, I've seen a lot of really interesting houses. I spent a lot of time in Chado, and there's a lot of new properties going up there, and really, really modern properties. Lots of lights, balconies, a lot of like open spaces, open kitchens, open living room concept area, open concept houses. And I'm seeing a lot of like really, really cool spaces. So I think it's really interesting. They're expensive, but really, really nice.
The ready finished ones, the ready built are on the pricier side, especially in Chado.
And you're going to find the bargains in the buying off plan with a reputable company.
Okay. Okay. What does off plan mean?
So you'll have a lot of developers. They'll have all the plans for their development, and that's the space where you will be able to get a deal. So if you've done your research, or you've come through us and we've done our research for you, you'll catch a developer at the beginning stages. So let's say they might have 18 months to 24 months until completion. At that space, let's say, I'll talk about one of the deals that we did have going. A 3-bedroom, 2-story townhouse. They were putting on at $70,000, but in this particular period of time, you could have picked that up for $50,000, all in, finished. Here's your keys. So that's where a lot of the deals are.
Got it. Nice. Couple of questions and comments coming from the audience. So really quickly, just throw them up really before we move into the other questions that I had. So YOA, I don't know if you guys are familiar with her, Talking Drums.
Hi.
Says hello, GhanaBound. Heru.P.Newton, I like that. Says Ghana property prices and rental costs are more than anywhere in North America. I wouldn't say that, but maybe comparatively speaking, compared to the GDP of Ghana, maybe. But I just looked on the MLS today in Brooklyn, New York, and I will tell you their prices in Brooklyn are much higher than
I think it's very interesting, because one thing that we also got confused a lot of when we first came to Ghana is like Accra is not Ghana. It's not all of Ghana. So you can absolutely, and Heru, I appreciate your comment, because you're right. Like some of these prices are really high, but if you're looking at Ghana as a whole, you can get very, very affordable properties here, but do not expect to be in the capital city, right in the center of everything for a lower cost. But you can be in one of the villages closer out in the countryside, as we call it, and the suburbs, and have a beautiful property, but there's nothing around you. So I guess that's the same anywhere in the world. So Accra prices are increasing, but Accra is also a very fast developing capital, and it's the hub, of a lot of other African countries where they come to base their headquarters. So there are reasons.
And you'll find the land nearest the airport is the prime land, and you're fighting literally with multinationals that are trying to house their employees in this same sweet spot in Accra that you also want. So it's a capital city of a country. You're not going to find these, just because it's Africa, you're not going to find the steel there. It's not going to happen.
All great points, and it's good to know, because I think that people go in expecting to spend like $20K on a nice house, and there's sadly
you can get a house for $20K, Joe. You can get it, but it's not going to be where you want it to be. So it's a compromise.
Right.
It's going to be a compromise.
Fair. Okay, cool. Jerry Campbell's checking in from Barbados. What's up, Jerry? Spearwarrior says,
Asian crew.
Yes. I have a friend who spent 4 months in Barbados. We just posted a video yesterday about her experience, and we talked about Ghana versus Barbados. So if you guys want to check that out, just look at my channel.
I love it. We went there for our honeymoon. I've
never been. It's on my list of places to go.
You need to go.
Okay. It's on my list. I will. All right, cool. So Spearwarrior says, how different could it really be from Kumasi to Accra?
Good question.
Okay, so in Kumasi, the Ashantis there, they take their land very, very seriously.
Yep.
You will have some interaction with the local chiefs, the local kings, and you will need to go through the representative for the family. It's not just any chief that you're going to go and buy land of. There will be someone appointed over there. And they're very strict with that in the Ashanti region. In Accra, there's a lot more developers. There's a lot more commercial style going on. Maybe that's the wrong word, but it's
private.
Private, yes. You won't necessarily have to go and see the royal family
to buy land.
Yeah, but in Ashanti, it's very serious. It's very different. Yeah,
the way of life there is also very different. This is from an expert of Kumasi, and she's one of our consultants actually.
Yeah.
And it's a much slower paced life. It's very much developed. It's a beautiful area, but the pace of life is different to Accra. So, I think Spearwarrior should definitely come and experience the differences. It's one of those things you have to come experience.
Yeah. And it's very expensive out there. It's comparable to Accra.
Oh, wow.
You'll find places, there's spots that are even more expensive than Accra. If you go up to Takoradi, there's a lot of oil money over there. And yes, the property price of land and buildings up there is very high.
Good to know. Okay, cool. So Boogz says, hi
Boogz.
Manelik says, is Tema an affordable area, and what's the average cost there?
Okay, I'll get this one. So Tema is it is more affordable than buying directly within Accra. Now, you have to bear in mind, Tema is huge and it's expanding. So we're going all the way from community number 1 to Tema community, I think 25 or 26. There may be more, correct me if someone knows, but I know like 25. And they are in actually very different parts of around Accra. Some of them, for example, Tema community 18 is very close to Spintex. And very close to the motorway. So you've got like 10 minutes to the prime areas, whereas community 25 is maybe about 45 minutes to an hour away.
Very residential.
Very, very residential. So Tema spans a long way, and the prices do range depending on how close to town. Now, to answer your question about the average cost, it depends how many bedrooms we're talking about. You can get a 3-bedroom property in Tema community 25 for $200,000, $170,000. Around let's call it $170,000.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. On that note, Boogz says, Boogz was saying, I'm in Tema. It's a great community 18. I've definitely gone to Tema to Bel Aqua and a few other offices when I worked at Jumia. That traffic to and from Tema is like nothing you've ever seen. It's just one road, right? Just one road in and out.
That's the
one.
Ready
to just sit in traffic. But yeah, I guess Boogz is giving us a little history lesson. It was built by Kwame Nkrumah.
That's why if you go out to community 25, you'll start seeing that they've got everything they need in that community. You will not use those things. So it's further out, it's up and coming, it's a little bit cheaper, it's on the way to Pram and those types of areas.
Which is a beach area, very popular, beautiful.
Location based, you can get very nice Airbnbs out there because the beaches are nice and clean, but it's further out, it's less busy. Whereas if you hit the end of the motorway, you're right in the hub of all the ports traffic. You've got vehicles flying left and right. It's an active working port. So each community has a very different what's the word I'm looking for? Character. Yes. Yeah.
Nice. Spearwarrior just wants to thank you guys for the response, and he'll be relocating to Sierra Leone. Wow, really? There's no major rest. All right, so maybe Gerald, I'll see you there when I go. I'll be there in November. While you're making the big move. Congrats to you. So Kwame says hi to us and to you guys.
Hi, Kwame.
Hi.
And saying hope you're both well. I'm well. Hope you're well.
Yes, we are too.
Okay, cool. So let me get back into my questions, because I definitely had another one, and I think this is perfect time to ask it. It really is, what is the house buying process? What does that look like? So I want to give an example. I myself am planning to buy, I do want to buy something in Ghana, right? So I'm going to go through GhanaBound, and this is a hypothetical, but it's also true. So I want to buy a house. What does the process look like? Now, I don't know if it matters that I have an ECOWAS passport. I don't know if that has any bearing on anything. But so I'm a foreigner then. I want to buy a house in Ghana. What does that process look like with you in terms of like determining where to move and all of that? And then also, what does the process look like with Ghana, right? The paperwork, buying from chiefs, not buying from chiefs, all of that. If you could just walk us through kind of like that start to finish, what does it look like step by step?
Okay, so I'll cover the parts with how it works with us, and then Sam can take over with the Ghana section. So when you reach out to us, first things first, we do not charge you. Okay, we will book you in for a consultation once you filled out the application form. We will then book in a free consultation with you, so we actually know exactly what you are looking for. We appreciate a lot of people have not ever been to Ghana before, so we help to advise you on the different areas and what to expect with that process. Once we have done that, we narrow down the suitable properties, lands, areas for you, and then
we hand over to the legal team. And this is where a lot of people get it wrong. Trying to pinch a penny or a dollar at this point will be disastrous. It's best to get the lawyers in right from the beginning. You want to do a land search, and not the cheapest land search you can find. You want a thorough land search because there's so many interests in the land that you're going to buy. Okay. And when we say land, if it's a house, you're buying the land. It doesn't matter if you're American, Russian, Chinese, Japanese, whatever, you can buy a house, a home in Ghana. The difference is if you are a Ghanaian, you'll be entitled to 100 years lease. If you are a foreigner or one of the diaspora that's coming back, you will be entitled to no more than 50 years on your lease, which must be renewable. It's legally, it's in law that it has to be, you have the right for renewal. Okay, you can find gems and freeholds, but they are few and far between. So much so that it's you'll find most people say you can't get a freehold because anyone that has a freehold is not getting rid of it.
Right.
Yeah. And there's certain rules to that freehold, because if you get offered one, this is exactly where your lawyer will come in and he'll let you know if that is still binding and holding, because there is rules and regulations around the freeholds when they started and when if it's transferable. Most of the land in Ghana is actually owned by families, royal families, tribal groups. Yeah. The government owns a tiny fraction of land, and then the next group will be private ownership. Yeah. So there is a lot of people interested in the plot that you're buying or in the house that you're buying. So that is why a good lawyer will do a thorough search. They've got to search so many things. They've got to search where the land is, what type of land it's on, what type of permits are on the land, if it's in a waterway, if there is any other interest in the land that might mean you're joining a group for litigation. Now, say joining a group, you may well still be able to buy the land, but you have a vested interest in it. So it's not something that you freestyle. You can't do that. You're going, literally, if you try to freestyle, you will come up against a road bump. It's going to happen. Yeah.
All really good insight. How much would that, well, first of all, how do you pay it? Is it a retainer or is it a one-time fee to do the land search? How is it paid? And then how much would it be to pay for these lawyers?
It's never a straight up payment. The Ghanaian system, the lawyer will have contacts, just like any other lawyers around the world that may have contacts within the lands departments that can get things pushed through quicker or slower or more thoroughly. But it's case by case. From the interactions that we've had with lawyers, it's always a case by case study, depending on what they would say here, what they meet when they open the file and see what's going on with a particular piece of land that you're looking for.
To do a land search, for example, we have been quoted 1,500 cities to do a search on one property, and that is about, at this stage, I think $150.
That would be a window.
Yeah,
that was one quote. Yeah,
that would be a window search, and that is no,
that was window search was less, but anyway,
okay,
that was one quote.
Sorry.
We had. Yeah,
go for it.
Yeah.
So about $150 basically to do the search.
Starting from. Yeah, because if you go to a lawyer, then they may find that there are other issues, and then the costs will, starting from, I would say.
No cost. Okay. So we come to you, we figure out where we want to be, what our budget is, then go to the lawyers to do the land search. What happens next? Let's say we find a property. What does that process look like from finding the property through to acquiring the property?
Okay, so you've had a look. The lawyers come back and said, this one looks good. Go for it. There will be, just like any other country, a bit of sales. I always get my term mixed up a little bit here. A sales agreement written in.
Sales and purchase agreement.
That's the one. Take it over.
So once the sales and purchase agreement has been established, you have your back and forth as usual, as you would do in any country if you're unhappy with some clauses. And then as soon as you sign that sales and purchase agreement, it means that you are now legally bound to that property, and they are bound to, say what they said they're going to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So now we're looking for a title transfer. Okay. And that's a separate cost to the other. So every step of the way, there's separate costs to separate bits of paperwork. So you'll be doing a title transfer. At this point, it's a very good thing to get the terms of your lease renewal set up now. So the renewal is assumed that it will happen, but it's very good practice to set those terms up now, way before the 50 years, so you know what kind of system that you got, what you're looking at for your lease renewal in 50 years.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. Dropping gems today. I wish I knew half of this at the beginning of our journey.
Right. So, you guys, we talked about this on the last slide, but you guys also started the process of building, right? And you guys you are building right now, right? As we speak.
Yeah.
And a quick detour. How far are you along in the process of your building project?
We have a roof.
Nice.
So we've got the shell up. We've gone past lintel. We've put the roof on, and now we're going to what we call a second fit. We need to get the electrics thrown in, and we're looking at we're in the fun bit, I suppose. We're looking at internals, what kind of finishings we want, positioning sockets. We're even looking around some of the big department stores to see what type of furniture we may all like. We're there getting prices for windows and glass and different, seeing what kind of prices we can get for solar and how to set the house up to be, self-sufficient outside of the network.
Nice. Yeah, because generators are loud and fuel costs are exorbitant. So yeah, okay, cool. And so, just to get back to this process. So, okay, so now we've gone through the process to do the title transfer. You've gone through the process of figuring out what your lease terms might be. And so let's say it's just a purchase of land, but there isn't anything built on the land, right? And you want to start the process of building. What does that process look like?
So you will need a building permit, and you will need to take your indenture that you have to an architect, get plans and everything drawn up, They'll even want the wiring that you propose. Everything will be put into these plans that will have to get signed off by your local municipal office. Okay. But before that, once you've got on the land, this is again why a lawyer is so needed. There will probably be a clause that something will have to be done or put on place within 12 to 24 months. And it could be the case that if you just buy land and sit on it and do nothing for 3 or 4 years, you lose the land. They're not big on people buying pieces of land just to invest and then sell it on in 10 years' time. This is the wrong country for that. Yeah, the chiefs are looking for development. The thing about what's going on over here is literally development train is flying and the tractor being laid right in front of it, and everybody wants to see change in their environment. So to come and buy acres of land and not do anything, the minimum requirement is that you put corner posts in and put a semi-permanent structure down. Again, if it goes over 3 years, check the paperwork. It can well say that that land is now free to be resold.
Oof.
It has happened to people.
Yeah,
it's happened.
Yeah, so I've heard people say it, and now it makes sense, because when I've heard people talk about that, you'll see signs that say this. I just, on my way to the airport leaving Ghana, I remember seeing a sign that said, "This property is not for resale." Yeah. Speak to the owner of the property. But I don't think that matters if there was nothing built there, right? And I think that that's the problem I see with. I spoke to someone who owns some land, and he said he had an issue where somebody tried to sell his land, and right now he's in this dispute in court. And he's not sure why it hasn't gone in his favor, but it seems as though this is the reason, right? This is really interesting. It was an Uber driver who was telling me the situation. So yeah, that's really interesting. And then understanding the reasoning behind it also makes sense too. Wow.
It really goes back to what I said at the beginning of having the lawyer, because the interests we've got an episode that really clearly states this. But the amount of different parties interested in one plot of land and the different types of lease, you may not be leasing off of let's say it's Gar land. Yeah, that's one of the tribes. Right. You may not be leasing directly off the Gars, but it may well come, best way to say sublease, through someone else. And there's so many pitfalls along that way that you could trip up on that needs to be checked, and it's the lawyers that know how to do that. Yeah. One example given was that the ground rent may not have been paid by the previous tenant. If you buy and you haven't checked that, you're now liable. And if it's so many years in default, you can lose your land, never knowing.
Wow.
So,
information.
In this case, the lawyers are definitely worth their salt.
Yeah, clearly. I mean, I'm being educated now. I had no idea about any of this. Okay, so you start to build the property. You start to build the structure. Well, actually,
hold it right there.
Yeah.
The moment you put the pitchfork in the ground, if it's not bought off of a company, you can expect the local chiefs or the local stool to come in and ask for a digging fee. Because a digging fee. Yes. But if you have bought from a company, you won't have that issue.
Right. Okay, so just traditionally in Ghana, the chiefs ask for a digging fee. That's good to know too. Wow. Okay. Yeah. So and I was about to say you start digging, but before you start digging, you got to find a contractor. So so I want to talk about that. What does the process look like for finding a good contractor? So, like, I'll just really quickly, those who follow me know in Sierra Leone, I'm now on my 3rd contractor. I fired 2. And it was a mess, and I lost a lot of time, almost 2 years of building because of it.
Wow.
Yeah, but I finally, a friend of mine who's actually Ghanaian, who spends a lot of time in Sierra Leone, he gave me his contractor, and that's who I'm using now, and we're all good now. Things are moving. But I started the process in early 2020, and I don't really have, and everything really started moving in 2022. So I spent all of 2020, all of 2021 getting ready to get ready, and nothing happened. So it's a pain for me. And so how would you choose, and that's Sierra Leone, a country that I know more. I have more connections there. So me as someone who's thinking about buying in Ghana, right? How can I determine who's a good contractor, and how do you select the contractor to do the building?
Well, it's a bit tricky. You can go on referrals, but you hear so many stories of people that did a great job for me, but somehow it messed up when they're working for you. There's a sweet spot that I feel safe in, and I feel confident in telling people that are building, is that with the bigger reputable companies, you tend to have consistency. They've got their teams that know the packages that they're bringing out, and you can have the same experience building as you would in England, in the States, or wherever in the neck of the woods that you're from. Yep. With that reputable company, you know. With the artisans, it can be hit and miss. Yeah, I think that's fair to say. Yeah.
On that note, there was a quick question that, and at this point in the process, I think will be good to put up here. So Manelik is asking, is it cheaper to buy a house already built or build from the ground up?
Good question.
There are deals here that make it possible for you to buy and have it built at a very competitive rate.
Buy and have it built.
Sorry, buy land and have it built at a very competitive rate. They are starting to come into the system now. If you buy a ready-built house that's maybe not from one of the more reputable people, or a half-built project, you run into the issue of not knowing exactly what materials were used, what's it all about, especially with the newer guys on the block. And that's not to say the newer guys are terrible. It's just the reputation that goes with stuff. You know, there's some very good new people that really do get it, and you'll find yourself in a queue waiting to get one of their properties.
Got it. So buying from a company is better, but companies have overhead, so it might be a little more expensive than just buying from like a single contractor with a few extra workers, right? I would imagine.
I would say that you will get the house you want if you get it built yourself, but you have to be there for everything.
Got it.
It's still going to cost you, but it's going to cost you in time, your own personal time. And if you're not used to building in Ghana, you have to prepare to also pay in stress sometimes, because you're learning a system. It's true. You have to learn a new system. And as much as financially it's cheaper, you will be paying. And we're very realistic about that.
Yeah.
And I'm sure anyone watching right now who's built themselves before knows what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Paying stress. I like that phrase. I'm using it.
Yeah. Take it.
With some of the contractors, you're in safe hands to pay in sections. You will have a contract that says at 80%, we will start the build. We will deliver within however many agreed months. It's all legally binding.
Right.
And those agreements there, you're in a safe space. If you've come over, met Kwame, sorry Kwame, he might be a great builder, but and you're sending money every month, expecting your house to be built by an independent, that's a very shaky area to be in. Yeah. No, go for it. I wouldn't recommend that space.
Okay.
Yeah. And again, sorry, mythical Kwame, you might be a great builder, but it's not something that I would say, hey, go with. There's always got to be as much accountability as possible. And it's your house. So if you've got a cousin that's looking after the build for you, you're not sharing the same dream. It's your dream. So you need to take as much time to be on site and make sure everything is how you want it.
All good insight. Okay. And on that note, there was another question. What are the risks and challenges you could face buying land? We talked about some of them, but yeah.
Yeah, the risks and challenges if you're not doing it the right way, and even if you do it the right way, at some points, is not understanding the system. You can lose land. You can be tied up in litigation for years, or a class action as one of them. Yeah, these things, you'll hear these stories regularly. You've got to do it the right way the first time. A lot of time in litigations, it's the person that's done it more right, not 100% right, but more right than the other person. The defendant and oh, my brain's gone with the word.
Even mine, I can't think of the word.
Yeah,
but yeah,
and the prosecutor. Yeah.
Right.
You know, so it's the legal bits that you've got to be bang on with. Get a very good lawyer that's knowledgeable in this area.
So just give an example. So some of the areas that we're driving right now, you'll see the magic red paint that says, remove this property now, this is a waterway. Remove this property now, this is a road. So Boogz, to answer your question, some of the risks and challenges that you could face is that you've bought land that was meant and zoned for something else.
Yeah.
So we've seen some beautiful properties that have the red paint on them. Knock it down, you are literally on a road. So it's that, it's happening.
Yeah.
So you've got to be very careful from the beginning and just get a lawyer involved. We can't say that enough.
Yeah. Yeah. Just 2 days ago, we saw a really beautiful house with the dreaded red paint on. It was built on a waterway. And I mean, this thing was lovely, very modern, glass, water ceiling, glass, windows and everything. It will be put down. It has to go. It will be put down. It's in the waterway. That's where flooding water goes through and it releases the whole area. It will have to go.
Man, all good insight. This is all really good. So Boogz says only use contractors who are recommended. And then there was a question from Falcon Wings, very specific to her.
Oh, hello, Falcon Wings.
Everyone always says find a reputable person or company, but how are they vetted if don't have any contracts in Ghana and not a Ghanaian and moving there as a single female?
Yeah. So one thing you can do is look at work they've done previously and speak with their previous customers. So if they take you on tours of previous properties that people are living in now, you can ask them, how was your experience with them? And we're actually doing that as well. We've taken a lot of time to find reputable contractors, but we're also doing the research on previous buildings they've done. We're going to interview previous customers of theirs. And you have got companies like us who are doing the groundwork for you guys who are not here, because we know how challenging it is if you're not Ghanaian or you don't have family or friends here. So we are doing that part of the work for you.
Yeah. So we don't put on anyone that can't show us basic paperwork even before you go on and do your full check. You know? Yeah.
All very, very good stuff. I was just going to ask you, are you guys doing this? And you answered it for me. Okay, cool. So then on that note, are these purchases based on Ghana Cedis? Oh, sorry, from Raven. This is from Raven. So we had Falcon Wings and now we got Raven. So Raven says, are these purchases based on Ghana Cedis or USD? Noticing more than a few listings in USD only, but not sure if that's only because I'm searching from the US. Conversion rates are escalating.
No. So you will find housing more and more listed in USD because it's a stable currency. It's more stable. So we've had a few developers listing in cities and having to make adjustments because of the fluctuations. So it's more stable for the buyer and the seller to know exactly where they stand.
Yes, I can attest to that. And you know what? Africanus just asked the follow-up question that I was going to ask, and that is, how do you acquire these properties? Is it cash? Can you get financing? Are there mortgages that you can get?
Yes.
Yes, you can get all of them.
Get all of it.
However, it's cheaper in the States. Borrowing money in Ghana is a very expensive task. You can, like I said earlier, get good deals with the developers, and they will give you payment plans, which is different. That's outside of mortgages. You can still get mortgages in Ghana with banks up to around 15 years. I haven't seen longer than that. I've heard that they're coming. So those things are there. Rule of thumb, most people are borrowing in the States for their plans and buildings in Ghana.
So interest rates vary here in Ghana. So for example, I think the lowest I've seen is 9.99%, but that is for Ghanaians.
Yes.
Okay. And then you can be paying up to, let's say, not up to, but let's say around 23% interest.
Wow.
Yes. It's expensive to borrow money out here.
Oh,
and the terms are short.
So 15 years, 9 to 20%. My goodness. All right. Yeah. Okay. And so, I mean, and the interest rates here in the States are like 1%, 3%, maybe.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
So you can do the math. So people are starting to decide where to source their funding and financing from, but we will leave that to you guys to make that decision.
But there are facilities here. Not knocking them, but those we just keep it real, you know, from beginning to end, and tell you exactly what you're about to face. Yeah,
that's all really good insight. I was not aware. Wow. Okay. So Falcon Wing says thank you.
You're welcome, Falcon.
No worries. She was on our live yesterday.
Oh, amazing.
Sunday.
Nice. She came along with you.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So we've now talked about everything from deciding where and how much to figuring out the how to actually acquire the land. We've talked about how to ensure that you don't get it taken away from you. We've talked about how to find a contractor. And we've talked about potential financing for acquiring the property.
On that note, I've just got to say there are some really great new thinking in the industry, and there's hotels that you can buy apartments in. So if you know you're coming to Ghana for a few weeks in the year, you can buy in. You can buy fractions with your family, and on fractions. So they're really making access to very high quality properties as easy as possible. And these are the real established developers in here. So they're really starting to think and trying to address and knock out any barriers to your access for property over here.
Nice. So on that note, right? So you've done all that, right? You've gone through that process. You figured it out. You know what you want to build. You start the process of digging. Now the place where you guys are, or you start the process of building, get the roof, finishings. Where can you find finishings? Do they have local finishings? Do people import finishings, doors, windows, all that kind of stuff? How is that generally done?
You can find everything here. Everything. It's going to come at a cost. You want a premium finish, you can find stuff here, or you can import. You want your kitchen designs, you can find people here that will design your kitchen to the dream that you want. It's all now available here at different levels and different quantities for different pocket types.
Got it. And on that note too, you notice that one-story houses a lot, or even multiple stories, have window guards on their windows. In Sierra Leone, you have door guards and window guards. Is that something you guys recommend for someone building a house, no matter where they are in Accra, putting window guards, you know, those metal guards that look like jail guards or jail cells?
You don't tend to find them in gated communities.
Right.
You don't tend to find them. You'll find the security team, you'll find CCTV, and you don't seem to find not as much. And again, depending on the area, you know, but it's a norm here to have burglar-proof bars. You can try to jazz them up, you know, have designs and different pieces and stuff. Some will even now facilitate, you know, that they can still be opened, you know, because I know for us coming from the UK, we're very conscious about fire exits and getting in and out, you know. Yeah, if they're in your neighborhood that you brought in, you get them. I know they're just not. We're not used to it coming back from the West, but they're there for a reason, and it's not. Ghana's not unsafe. It really isn't. You after dark, you'll have police stations everywhere. That it just makes you feel safer. And I'm sure you've talked on your channel about the interaction with the police. It's a very different thing over here.
Yes.
You know.
Yeah.
So it is very safe, but this thing is part of the culture. Having these burglar proofs on there, I'm not about to test with my house by not putting them on.
Yeah, I agree 100%. As you said, it is a safe, or it's not unsafe. But it's just kind of part of everyday life. I have a friend whose house was broken into. She was living in Tema. And so once she told me that, I just thought, okay, I will always make sure that if I'm living somewhere, there are window guards in place. But you made a good point. Living in a single standalone versus living in a gated community. I've looked at apartments for rent in a number of different gated communities, really, really nice gated communities with guards, security, 24/7 CCTV, as you mentioned. I would imagine buying there would probably come as a premium versus maybe buying in the same area, similar style house, but is like a standalone. But then if you're buying a standalone, you're going to have your own security, right? You're going to have to make sure that you put up your own electric
wired fencing,
right? And all of that. So can we talk about that? So you build your fence. What do you guys call it, a fence, or do you guys call it a wall?
Fence wall.
Yeah, fence wall.
Okay. So, we call it a fence in West Africa, even though it's a wall, right? A fence in the West is an actual like white
chain link
fence, right? Chain link fence. In West Africa, a fence is like a cement wall around your property. So in Sierra Leone, because of the power issues, most people just do barbed wire. I've noticed though in Ghana, they do those kind of these straight like electrical fences. And so is that what you guys would recommend? And what is it? How much energy does that take? Because I always wonder about that, right? Because there's always a pulse of electricity going through it.
They tend to be on in the evening. Electric fences. They're not something that's on all day. They have an energizer that sends the current through. But however, actually, what I'd say the main difference is how you interact with the neighborhood. So if you're in a standalone neighborhood house in a neighborhood, interact with your neighbor. Your neighbor is your eyes when you're not there, and you're his eyes or her eyes when they're not there. And you've seen someone that's not really normally around there, or even, God forbid there's a fire, you're going to be helping each other out. You've got to get involved in the community. When you are in a gated community, you can almost live there and have no outreach into the community. Some of these gated communities have swimming pools, have shopping areas, have everything that you're going to want to need inside that gated community. But you won't, you may know everyone in the community, that's a different thing, but reaching out and touching Ghana, it's a different experience.
Cool. So a couple more comments really quickly, and then I'll get into my last couple of questions. Boogz says you get what you pay for. Legendary King says electric fence, especially. Browncoat Blue says, yo, greetings. My favorite.
Another regular. Hi.
Yes. So Browncoat Blue's on all the lives then, because she's a regular on this one.
He's active.
Love you there, Browncoat Blue.
He or she, they're active.
They are. Yes, they're active. Yes, I love it. And then one more from YLA was saying, I think this had to do with people building on public lands, I guess. So the worst is when they build on Ramsar wetlands and other waterways. The regional minister for Greater Accra, Henry, how do you pronounce that? Corte, has been doing a lot of work to stop this and demolish buildings. There you go.
Yeah, that's been happening.
Again, a few days ago, we've actually seen a full house built across a highway. Obviously, it's before they've got to there, so they've got this demarked as an aviation highway straight to the airport. It's not even a side road, and because it takes long sometimes for development, people have encroached. But this is a whole house sitting on where the highway should be going through.
Yikes! Yikes! Well, it's unfortunate for them because that house is coming down, right?
Yes, it's coming down.
Okay, cool. So I think we've kind of gone through the house buying process, right? All the way through to getting financing and finding a contractor, building, security. You know, we even talked a little bit about buying in a neighborhood or a gated community versus in a standalone. I think the only other question I have is, what are some of the what advice, just high level advice, and I think we've talked about this a lot, but what advice would you give to someone who's planning to buy a house in Ghana? Yeah, just general advice.
Know your why. Are you
Mm,
buying for an investment? Are you buying to relocate? Are you going to be in it all year round? What do you want? Do you want to go up to Ivory and off-grid with other returnees that are up there doing exactly the same thing in their homesteads?
right.
Do you want to live the same life that you live in the America, as in comfort and familiarity? Know that that's going to come at a premium. You know, you can have the same quality of life in Ghana, but it will cost you more. Yeah, if you want your brands, if you want your Oreos, if you want your Fruity Loops, they're all here, but it will cost more than where you're presently at. It all gets imported, and it's possible. So know your why, what you want to do, and then spend some time, have a look around, and just get that location right.
There it is. And on that note, in terms of the length of time you can expect to build, let's say you get the lease, sorry, you get the mortgage from a bank in the States, right? However you do that. So you have the cash ready. By number of floors, how long should you anticipate it take to build your house? Let's say if you're just doing one story, how long? One story, 3 bedrooms, 3 baths. It seems to be the norm. With the guest bath, right?
You'd be amazed. Cash is king. If you have the cash, and let's say you're not in the development, it can go up 6 months. It's there.
Wow.
Bam, it's done. Cash is king. If you've got an agreement on a development, then again, you will know how long it takes, and cash is king. If you've got the money to put straight down, yours will start being worked on immediately. If you're paying in parts, there'll be an agreed point at which yours goes up, and there'll be an agreed handover for each section, and each section of money that needs to be paid to them to complete your house.
Got it. And cool. And I guess the another question I have now that I think about it. So you just mentioned on your particular house, right? You guys are working on electricity and you're going to bring in solar. On that note, right? If someone's going to build a house, do they just deal with the contractor, and the contractor or you all help them find a plumber and an electrician, or do they need to go to each individual and find the best person to do these elements on their house?
We are trying to be as helpful as possible and have a list of recommended people that you can get to. We also have other teams that we work with that will do everything from the architecture to handing you the keys at the end.
Yeah. We literally have worked really hard to be the one-stop shop. So if you know you want to build, we can literally take you from that thought to having your keys handed over. We've linked up to the right people now.
Nice. Okay, cool. This has all been really enlightening. I learned a lot from this discussion. I was not aware of most of what we've discussed today. Is all new information. I think you've covered everything. Okay, let me just ask you, is there anything I didn't ask you or the audience didn't ask that you want to offer up to the people, or did we ask all the questions?
The one thing I really always say in any of these conversations is come over and sign your documents yourself. Don't scrimp on the $600, $900, or whatever it is that it's going to cost you to come over, sign your indenture, and go back. And even if that's the only reason you're coming, come and do that. You're about to spend a lot of money. Don't cut that corner. And don't just, it's not worth it to get a cousin, a brother, a sister, whatever, to sign that while you're not there just because of a few $100 in the wider scheme of things. Sign your own paperwork.
Really good advice. Really good advice. Okay. And you guys can imagine why that would make sense, right? I mean, it doesn't take a genius to know that. Okay, cool. All right. So where can people find you online? I was going to just pull up your website again because I think it looks great. I love this.
Thank you. Thank you. He did it, made the website. So we offer, as well as consultancy, we also offer representation. So I know some of you may not be living, having family or friends living in Ghana. You have nobody to represent you when it comes to site visits, asking the right questions, meeting the right people. So we offer that service as well. And then, of course, we are the property consultants that will link you up with different developments, different developers and lands to be able to guide you to own your own property in Ghana. So you can find us on our website, www.GhanaBound.com, and also on our YouTube channel, GhanaBound. After each video in the description box, we've got a link where you can, once you've clicked the link, you fill out a form, and through that, you'll be able to have a free consultation with us to help find the property for you.
Yeah. And like Yaba said earlier, rule of thumb, we don't charge you for our services, guys.
The only ones that we do, we will lay out clearly before.
If we have to, we'll let you know right before. Yeah.
Nice. Awesome. Well, I really appreciate you guys taking the time to talk to our audience here. These questions have all, I think you did a great job answering them, and we learned so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It's been really, really great and really helpful. I look forward to editing our interviews and the talks that we had last year, making sure that it still makes sense to post. And yeah, and continuing to follow up with you guys. We need to talk because I do want to build in Ghana and buy. So
it's a really special time. It really feels like there's a movement happening, and a lot of people are reconnecting with ancestral reconnections, or just acting on the thought, could it really happen? Can it work for me? And there's just, the market is just, like I said, the whole thing is a train that is thundering on, and we are going to be a big part of that. We, the diaspora, returning and bringing and enriching the old experience along with what they have here already. It's an amazing time. You can really feel it. It's buzzing.
Awesome. And on that note, thanks again for doing this interview with us. And thank you all for watching. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe. 70% of you guys are watching these videos and are not subscribed. So if you've watched 3 or more videos and you haven't subscribed, we have beef. So make sure you subscribe to the channel. And also go check out GhanaBound and subscribe to their channel. I just shared it on the screen, and it's going to be in the description below. Make sure you check out their page and subscribe to their channel. And with that, guys, I will see you all on the next video.